Good afternoon, all. So we are back with our session number 4. It's a mixed bag full of multimodality imaging in 2025. So chairperson for this session will be Dr. S.K. Parashar, sir. I would like to request Dr. Preeti Gupta and Dr. Ashok Omar to please come on the dais for being a chairperson moderator for this session. Dr. Ashok Omar, sir, Dr. Preeti Gupta is already here. For this session, the panelists would be Dr. Stapak from Raipur, Dr. Ranjan Kumar, he's a dear friend from Patna. Please join on the stage. Dr. Neeraj Agarwal, who's a pediatric cardiologist from Sir Gangaram Hospital. Dr. Vinay Sharma, if he's around, from Fortis Escorts, Delhi. Dr. A.K. Malhotra, sir, from North Delhi Physician Forum. Dr. Amit Verma, HOD Medicine, Sir Gangaram Hospital, he's from Dehradun. Dr. Amit Verma. Dr. Preeti, can we start with the proceedings?
Before we start a session, can I call upon Dr. S.K. Paliwal? Dr. Paliwal and me, we were together in Agra Medical College. We jointly did our MD Medicine. And Dr. Paliwal is an ace cardiologist based at Agra. So I want to facilitate on behalf of JROP. Dr. Paliwal, please be on a dais.
So can we request Dr. Sharad to be on the dais for being a panelist? Thank you. Dr. Preeti, you can take over, please.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, sir. I would first request Dr. Hardeep Grewal to give his session.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Rakesh Gupta and the whole team for inviting me here. So I'm going to present this interesting case of valvular heart disease, which we came across a while ago, which actually took us by surprise and was actually turned out to be a great learning experience for us. So this was a 16-year-old female patient who presented at a local hospital with 6-month history of effort dyspnea, palpitations, and atypical chest pain. At a local hospital, she was evaluated. An echo was done which showed rheumatic heart disease with severe aortic regurgitation and severe mitral regurgitation. So with this diagnosis, patient was referred to our hospital for double valve replacement. So as a part of routine pre-op workup, we repeated echo for this patient. So these are the echo images. So we can see that these are parasternal long axis view and apical long axis view. So here we can see that the mitral valve leaflet is thickened, but this is not what we were expecting actually in a patient who presented with the diagnosis of rheumatic heart disease. We can see that the mitral valve leaflet is thickened, but it appears to be uniformly thickened, unlike in rheumatic heart disease where there is predominant thickening of the tip of the mitral valve. There was no doming of the AML and no typical hockey stick appearance. And here in the apical long axis view, we can see there is no significant subvalvular thickening. And in the short axis, there was not significant commissural fusion also, which is very characteristic of rheumatic heart disease. Aortic cusps are thickened, but no commissural fusion. Then on further imaging, this is parasternal long axis view. We can see that there is some degree of mitral regurgitation and aortic regurgitation. In the apical four-chamber view, we can appreciate that the MR jet is going all the way up to the roof of the left atrium. And on further imaging, there is aortic regurgitation and there is holodiastolic flow reversal in the descending thoracic aorta. But the exact severity of AR and MR was not sure on transthoracic images, so we decided to do TE in this patient to have some idea about the morphology of the valve and also about the degree of mitral and aortic regurgitation. So in this is mid-esophageal four-chamber view, and we can see that the AML is thickened, but the thickening is predominantly at the base of the AML. And in the short axis view, again, it is very clear there is no commissural fusion. Right coronary cusp is thickened, and there is eccentric zone of non-coaptation. And on color Doppler, it was quite clear that this patient has got significant MR as well as AR. So what do we have till now? This patient is a young female patient with thickened mitral and aortic valve leaflets, significant MR and AR, but what we did not have was the hallmark features of rheumatic heart disease with which this patient was referred to us. So what is the diagnosis in this patient? Rheumatic heart disease seems quite unlikely because the echo features are lacking. And degenerative etiology is also unlikely considering patient's age. She's quite young. So what else could it be? So we broadened our differentials. So we thought probably it is some sequelae of infective endocarditis. Maybe she had some systemic inflammatory disease and this is the sequelae of that. Maybe she had connective tissue disorder or some other systemic inflammatory disease. So while the patient was in the echo room, we just asked her whether she had any history of skin rashes, joint pains, fever. So she told us that she has some history of intermittent fever and non-specific joint pains. And we examined her while she was in the echo lab. And incidentally, we found left-sided carotid bruit in this patient. So we thought, let's scan her carotids also. So this is the carotid Doppler in this patient. This is left common carotid artery, and we found long, smooth, homogeneous concentric thickening. And this is also known as Macroni sign. Unlike in atherosclerotic thickening, this is very homogeneous. In atherosclerosis, it is heterogeneous. So this is quite suggestive of a large vessel vasculitis. So we did a CT aortogram to see that what is the extent of the arterial involvement. So the CT confirmed our carotid Doppler findings. It also showed intimal thickening in the root of the aorta. But what was surprising and concerning in this patient was that it showed critical coronary artery disease. 90% stenosis in left main ostium and 70% stenosis in RCA ostium. So this is invasive coronary angiogram images which confirm the CT findings. So what do we have now? This is a young girl presented with valvular heart disease, which is not rheumatic heart disease, and she has medium and large vessel arterial disease as well. So what possibilities we kept? So this patient, we kept the differentials of large vessel vasculitis, medium vessel vasculitis, but in our patient, most of the vascular lesions were very suggestive of Takayasu's arthritis. So we used this diagnostic criteria, and in our patient, she was fulfilling one major, that she was clinically symptomatic, and three minor criteria. She had aortic regurgitation, left middle common carotid artery lesion, and she had coronary artery lesion. So all these, so one major and three minor were quite high suggestive of Takayasu's arthritis in this patient. So a PET scan was done which did not show any metabolically active focus. In the meantime, other investigations also did not show any evidence of active inflammation, and other etiologies were also ruled out by doing lipid profile, VDRL, and test for tuberculosis were also done. Everything was negative. So patient underwent surgery. She underwent mitral and aortic valve replacement along with CABG. This is the histopath report, which also showed chronic inflammatory lesion. Unlike rheumatic heart disease, in which there is fibrinoid necrosis, this patient has predominant lymphocytic infiltration. So the patient who actually came with the diagnosis of rheumatic heart disease finally turned out to be a patient of Takayasu's arthritis with cardiac valvular involvement and critical coronary stenosis. So I will just keep the literature very limited here. Although the valvular involvement is considered to be quite rare in Takayasu's arthritis, and when I searched the literature, I could find few case reports on mitral valve involvement. But recently, I just came across this article. This is a study published in 2020, retrospective study, single center study, where they enrolled about 103 Takayasu's patients. And they found that cardiac valvular involvement is not that uncommon. It is seen in about 60% of the patients. They have aortic and mitral valve involvement. And even tricuspid valve involvement can be seen in fairly good number of patients, although pulmonary involvement is quite rare. So, so this article definitely challenges the previous assumption that the valvular involvement is quite uncommon. So it may not be that uncommon, and probably we need to do more comprehensive cardiovascular evaluation in these patients. So what could have gone wrong in this patient? If we had not suspected other etiology other than rheumatic heart disease, then we would have lost this patient on table, because nobody would have suspected critical coronary stenosis in such a young patient with no evidence of any traditional cardiovascular risk factors. what possibly went wrong that patient when she might have presented at some point in the active inflammatory stage, and if she probably gone undetected at that time, because if she would have received disease modifying treatment like steroids or immunosuppressive therapy, then she would not have landed with these complications. So in the end, my take-home message is that when it does not look like a classic rheumatic pattern, then we need to think of other etiologies. Although it is not uncommon to consider rheumatic heart disease in India, where it is very common, especially in young patients. But if the echo features are not showing classic rheumatic pattern, we need to think of other etiologies before saying that this is probably formi fruste of rheumatic heart disease. And the other thing which I would say, that a comprehensive clinical examination and history, we just cannot undermine the importance of this. Before we do any scan, we need to know the whole story of the patient. So I think in this patient, because we could hear a left carotid bruit, that's how we could actually save this patient. Thank you so much.
Very well done, Dr. Hardeep Grewal. It was a really mesmerizing evidence of how you could make the diagnosis. The inflammatory markers were also high.
They were not raised.
They were not.
And we did PET scan also, which did not show any evidence of metabolic active disease.
And the renal arteries? Did you see
Renal
that?
arteries were normal. They were
They
not
were
involved.
normal.
They were not involved. Yeah.
Okay. And as it's not a norm in our institute to do coronary arteries in patients who are undergoing DVR before 40 years of age.
Yeah.
So we could have missed the coronary arteries if you would not have seen extensively. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We see Takayasu, we see valve involvement also, but we have not seen coronary artery disease in Takayasu. This is, I think, more uncommon than valvular. So, Takayasu is still, you put a diagnosis Takayasu, but you can't confirm diagnosis Takayasu. You can't confirm because valve involvement, coronary artery, middle vessel disease, you can say it's an inflammatory disorder, but to confirm Takayasu is a difficult task, especially when you don't have inflammatory markers positive. I understand this may be a burnt out disease, but still it's difficult to prove or disprove.
Yeah, I would say the correct terminology should be high probability of Takayasu's arthritis
yeah.
rather than saying that this
Yes.
is Takayasu's.
Yes, because it's not fitting in into any disease.
Yeah,
actually.
yes.
But
I would-
coronary artery disease and pulmonary artery involvement both are described very well. Type 5, which was described by Sanjay Tyagi from GB Pant long time back. It is very well described.
Thank you. We can move to the next case.
Thank you, Dr. Hardeep.